My name is Michael Bartanen. I'm the historian and archivist for Pi Kappa Delta. Basically, academic debate as an activity really probably started sometime in the 1880s or 1890s. It's really not clear when the first competitive debate began, but it probably began right about 1881. But it didn't really get much notoriety until Harvard and Yale debated in 1893. And this was a big deal, and it was covered by the New York Times. And so generally we kind of trace the beginning of debate as an activity to the Harvard-Yale debates in 1893. Well, right after the turn of the century, one thing that was happening in the United States was a great deal of interest at the college level in having fraternities. Because the residential college idea itself was only about 50 years old, and that is until prior to 1869, students didn't live on campus. They just kind of they came and went. And so the idea of the residential colleges inspired colleges and college students to be interested in fraternities. And so there were the social fraternities that we think of today, but there were also fraternities organized around activities, theater, athletics. There were some journalism fraternities even, and so in 1906, a group got together and founded a debate fraternity, and that was called Delta Sigma Rho. And it was organized in Michigan and Illinois, and the idea was to make a fraternity about debate that was parallel to Pi Beta Kappa. Pi Kappa Delta was established in 1913 by, its home was in Ottawa College in Kansas, and its goal was to have a fraternity for debate that was for smaller colleges. And so the whole idea of this fraternity movement was not so much to inspire competition, but to promote what I would call kind of progressivism, which was very big at the beginning of the 20th century. Good government, getting rid of corruption, promoting civic virtues. And that was really, I think, the goal that Pi Kappa Delta and these founders were trying to create at that time. We live in a persuasion-driven society. We're bombarded by advertisements. We're engaged in political affairs. Should we adopt reformed healthcare in America, which is a part of a persuasive process. So persuasion is all around us. And I think kind of the virtue of the art of persuasion, beautiful and just, would put persuasion in a context of good ethics and good government. And so the kind of the drives that the founders of the organization had, I think, are still highly relevant, because we all know of the numerous instances of unethical persuasion that we're faced with, and the fact that so much of what Sheldon Hackney, who was the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts years ago, said that political discourse in the late 20th century was what he called drive-by debating, which was something that that I think most people should be rightfully offended by, the idea that our political discourse, our society doesn't really pay attention, to this idea of beautiful and just as being the lens through which persuasion should take place.